Most millionaires are broke.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I know that because I was one. I was a broke millionaire.
I see houses now as monopoly.
You've had somebody else control how much money you make. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's insane. And that starts to become your norm.
Yeah.
But I grew up believing that £30,000 a year was a lot of money.
I make 20K a month.
People either have one or two R's. They either have reasons that they're not going to be able to do something, or they have results.
Yeah.
Formal education will make you a living. Informal education will make you a fortune.
Stop using excuses
Yeah.
on why you haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah. Don't be scared of numbers. People are scared to talk about money. Why are you scared to talk about money? Where did that come from?
Yeah.
Who drilled that mindset into you?
Yeah.
Oh, your parents drilled it into you. Well,
Yeah.
are your parents wealthy? No.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Abby and today we're with the famous Jazz Rose. Now, Jazz Rose, he's amazing. His house is beautiful. He teaches so much about property. And you know what? Before I even get started, Jazz, introduce yourself.
Hey, well, I'm just a normal guy trying to do amazing things. Proud parent, financially free millionaire, semi-retired entrepreneur and property investor. And my life mission now is really to empower other people to be financially free.
So that comes into the first question I have for you today. You, honestly, you're a person who just gives gems away all the time. You go in debt. You're not even, Instagram, they don't pay you for doing what you're doing right now, which you should be getting paid because people are literally learning from what you're doing. Tell us, how come it's so important to give back to the community?
Well, define what you mean by giving back, because that's an interesting phrase, right?
Yeah, okay, so what I mean by giving back is just the value that you give, because honestly on social media we don't really get this. You go in depth in what you do, like literally if someone wants a class they could come onto your page. Guys, make sure you add them up. But yeah, in saying that, how come you do all of this?
Because life is everything is a reciprocal flow of energy. So I want to give the energy out so that I can get people's attention and people's energy back in, which means that if people get value from what I'm doing, then that also gives me a good feeling, a good vibration, a good sensation to know that I'm pouring something positive into the community, into the world, so that other people can benefit from it. And it's just a reciprocal flow of energy, and that gives me that good feeling back.
Tell us your journey. How did you get your 11 properties?
Well, I started off because I was stressed out and trying to build a business from home, and my stepdad was blazing music in the living room and he wouldn't let me close doors on the phone. So I was like, all right, I was 20 years old and I was quite committed to then buying my own property to live in so that I can have my office there. And once I did that, 3 years later at 23, I had my first property. I rented out, I had a 3-bedroom house. I rented out 2 of the rooms. So £500 coming in from each tenant. Mortgage was around £1,000, which means I never had to pay for the mortgage, which was super cool. And then I found that if I can do it here, then surely I can do it in other places as well. So I used to hang out with my friends in a place called High Wycombe when they used to have a comedy show down there. So I was like, that's where I'm gonna buy my next house. So I started looking around High Wycombe and I found one. It was super cheap, 159,000. The guy wanted to get rid of it. And then I essentially turned that into my first HMO, if you like. And I realized that this is a process that I can continue to repeat and continue to scale. And that's literally what I did.
Perfect, that's amazing. And how do you find HMOs?
I love it. I love it because you're providing so much value for people. You're providing a cozy, safe, comfortable, enjoyable space to live, and you're also introducing them to new people who they enjoy living with. I feel like a lot of the false narratives around HMOs is that it's just like a junk place that people don't like to live and so on and so forth. You're sharing with horrible people. But if you make your HMO really nice, if you dress it up to a high standard and you do everything to a high standard, then you attract high standard people.
Exactly.
And when you have high standard people, they have high standard experience and they get high standard results, and it's amazing.
Tell us about your whole foundation of where you've been brought up. Were people millionaires around you? And if
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Millionaire, what's that?
Okay, so how did you get there then? So tell us.
Yeah, so I grew up in Harlesden, northwest London, which was a super rough community when I was growing up. But it also had an incredible amount of talent, incredible amount of passionate people who were really skilled at what they did. And what I learned from that experience was hang around with the talented people, because your environment is going to dictate so much about your life and how you perform. So I decided to make sure that I was feeding my mind with positive things and feeding my energy with positive things like books, courses, so on and so forth, to really learn about how to build wealth, to really learn about how to build a business, to really learn about how to become the best version of myself. And that's what I did, and that's what's led me to throughout my journey to where I am today.
Even you speaking about your environment, that is so important, because environment is everything.
Yeah.
Because when you're in a negative environment, it will just bring you down. When you're in a positive one, it just lifts your spirit up. And even hanging around with people that are even on the same level or higher than you, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you have 10 friends and if you have 9 friends and 9 of your friends make 100,000, you gonna make somewhere near 100,000.
Exactly.
If you're around people that are making 500,000, you gonna find a way to make 500,000. Why? Because they're gonna be sharing ideas and information and insights with you that start to trigger your mind to think in a different way. Once you start thinking in a different way, what happens?
You then start acting in a different way with your actions.
And then your actions determine your
goal.
It determines your goal, it determines your results, it determines your reality.
Yeah.
And you're there. And it's literally that simple. But because most of us have grown up in an environment where we have negative things around us, what happens is that we consume our minds with that negativity, which is repeated and reiterated to us through TV and what we watch and what we look into. But people need to understand you cannot actualize what you cannot visualize. So if you want to create a new reality, you have to be able to visualize it. You have to be able to see it. You've got to get around people that are doing it. You've got to listen to people that have done what you want to do, so that then that becomes your natural environment. Everybody brushes their teeth every single morning. Why? Because that's a natural environment. It was embedded. It was something that was drilled into you from very young. So imagine if success was drilled into you from very young. It becomes natural. It becomes normal. 100,000 years, nothing. What? Like that's. And that starts to become your norm.
Yeah.
But I grew up believing that £30,000 a year was a lot of money. And then I had to slap myself in the face and say, nah, something ain't gonna work here.
Yeah, no, do you know what? It's so true, because like, I remember, so, should be sad now I'm saying this now. So my friend Shola, she hates speaking about figures, but I tell her to speak about figures all the time. Because I love when Americans speak about figures, but then when it's us UK people, it's a bit funny.
Yeah.
It's good to speak your figures.
Yeah, because you can't actualize what you can't visualize. So if you've never heard about someone that's making 100 grand a month, then you're never gonna think about how can I make 100 grand a month. I did a video the other day and I said, well, the reason that most people have never made £1 million in their life is because they've never done the maths on how to make $1 million.
Yeah.
And if you start doing the math, then you can start to think differently, and you can start to perform differently, and you can start to produce the £1 million and the 10 millions and the so on and so forth.
Exactly.
But you've got to, it all starts with a thought.
Exactly. Like, so I remember, so I met Shola on Instagram. We went Westfield, we had fun. And I remember I said to her, like, my good days were like 1K within a day. And she was like, 1K in a day, yeah. But she was looking at me like, I want to tell this girl something.
Yeah.
And I was like, what should I tell me? And she was like, Abby, like, listen, I make 20K a month. And I said, what? How'd you be doing that? And no word of a lie, as soon as like that following month after, I made past 20K.
Sick.
And I was like, wow, this is mad. Oh my gosh. And before I'd never thought, you could do that. And it's mad, because it's like, it's so important who you chill around with. That energy, like, it's not even a thing where, she said to me, she does Amazon, I do property, so there's nothing that we could, but I don't know, just that energy, it made me think differently, create products differently, to get to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And people don't realize your environment is such a big part of who you are and how you operate. You know, as I say, if you're around people that are making that sort of money, you're gonna find a way to make that sort of money.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally, it's crazy because even like, this January we're in 2022, and no word of a lie, I've hit past 50k already. This year.
Perfect. You got to turn your annual goals into your monthly goals.
I know.
And then turn your monthly goals into your weekly goals. And it's all maths.
Yeah.
This is what people don't understand. It's all maths. You know, a lot of people say, well, you know, I'll never make £1 million. Well, if you make 25 grand a year, multiply that by 40 years, you made £1 million. The problem is you made £1 million too slow.
Yeah. Exactly.
So you've just now got to reverse engineer how you did that and then start to multiply your outcomes. It's just maths, it's just numbers. Yeah. Don't be scared of numbers. People are scared to talk about money. Why are you scared to talk about money? Where did that come from?
Yeah.
Who drilled that mindset into you?
Yeah.
Oh, your parents drilled it into you. Well, are your parents wealthy? No. Well, you better need to start to uncover that mindset. Take the positives of what your parents have taught you, because I'm sure they've taught you some positive stuff, but there's some things that hinder us from success and hinder us from getting to the next level because we're still doing what generations before us, that doesn't necessarily serve us right now.
Exactly. And this is why SMART goals are so important. People don't realize the power of goals because even like your daily routines, because you're working towards your monthly goals. So you're writing down, this is what I need to do. Like some of my students, I'll be like, oh, Abby, like they got 9 to 5. They're like, how do I call up landlord between my 8 to 5:30, you know? And I say, well, what you're gonna do is during your lunch break, make sure you have a whole spreadsheet set ready to go to be calling these landlords. So you're using your time productive.
Yes.
We can't use no excuses
why
we can't call these landlords.
Yeah.
I'd even say after work, call them, stay in your car, call them between this time to that time. You're being productive. If you want it, go and get it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because no one else is going to give it to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
People always say to me, well, how did you build your business to 3 million and so on and so forth? You must have been this, that. My car was my communication tool. So the reason why I was able to do so much when it was just me was because I was making all the calls to my staff. I was making all the calls to my potential clients in my car. And people will go, well, didn't you have your laptop? No! Listen, book the appointment, let's go. Oh, you want me to come now? Let me do a YouTube.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You've got to have that mindset and you've got to be on it. And as you say, there's no excuses. People either have one or two R's. They either have reasons that they're not going to be able to do something or they have results. Yeah. But you can't have both.
Exactly. So we see the word being a millionaire being thrown around a lot. What does being a millionaire look like to you?
Well, first of all, I'm going to throw out a statement which is going to be an unpopular opinion. But people are going to be like, what? Most millionaires are broke.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I know that because I was one. I was a broke millionaire.
Oh my gosh.
Why? Because a millionaire is simply where you have a net worth, which is your assets minus your liabilities, amount up to £1 million. But what happens is when you're a millionaire, you have this perception in your mind that you have to do everything and you have to do everything lavish, right? Or you have to do everything lifestyle or whatever. And this is what happens, and most millionaires are struggling in debt because they've got so much debt leaking up to their ears that they don't necessarily know how to control it or how to manage it or how to move powerfully with their money. And that's one of the most interesting things that I really had to untap within myself, because I had, a multi-million-pound business and so on and so forth. But the reason that I say that is because for me and for many other millionaires, especially in the early stages, you think, okay, I've got £1 million, I've got to hire this person, I've got to hire that. And you're always throwing money out without necessarily always seeing it come back in fast enough. So it comes back in, but it doesn't come back in fast enough, which means that, okay, cool, well, I've got 100 grand in my account right now, but my payroll is 99,000. My friend, you've got problems.
Yeah.
So, and I've got another 300 coming in from clients or whatever in a month. So you're constantly on that sort of, you're constantly on that treadmill. Yeah. So this is why I empower people to become financially free millionaires. So you've got to be financially free. What does that mean? Well, you have to get into a space where your assets can pay for your lifestyle. So if your lifestyle cost is £2,000 a month, you better get £2,000 worth of property or some other assets that can pay for that. I was speaking to someone yesterday and they were like, and I was telling them the story about the house and when I grew up, stuff like, yeah, why would you pay for where you sleep? Because that's a negative mindset, because now you're having to actually have to use your active time so that you can go back to your bed to sleep. That doesn't work out, right? So you've got to have someone else paying for you to sleep, someone else paying for your house, someone else paying for your living costs, someone else paying for your food. Why? Because you're adding significant value to them more than what they're paying you.
Exactly.
And once you can do that a couple of times, 5 times, 6 times, you can invest in property, so many different strategies that you can use to become financially free. So that now, once you're a financially free millionaire, your £1 million that you've got invested is continuing to grow whilst your lifestyle is being catered for, which means you can do what you want and you can spend, you can have time and you can have money. Rather than being a millionaire and not having any time to spend the money or to do the things that you really love to do.
Exactly, like what you're saying is facts. I understand what you're saying because it makes sense, because obviously I'm not a millionaire yet, but I will be in Jesus' name.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Put it down.
I receive. Yeah, literally, like it makes sense what you're saying, because me personally, you see like how I manage my life and my lifestyle. I use my rent to rents to do that. Because I see houses now as monopoly.
Yes.
That's how I see it.
That's exactly
and
what it
it's
is.
like, so what you're saying with what's paying for this and that, it all makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, you want other people to pay for you want other assets to pay for your lifestyle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why my goal this year is to continue to buy houses so it pays for my lifestyle. And it's also a thing where people feel like as you grow, you need to get more people on. You really do not.
Yeah.
You need simple things. Like people are very confused with me when they say, oh my gosh, how do you manage houses from home or all of that stuff?
Yeah.
And it's like when we do A, B and C, it makes sense, because a normal estate agent, when there's something wrong with the house, the boiler, the plumber, anything, you know, we don't go there to sort it out.
Yeah.
It's the person that we call
Yeah.
to sort it out.
Simplify life.
Yeah, like simplify it. People feel like because what they see, big, a lot of employees, that's more dirt on people's hands to be paying people. But let's make it simple. What's it that we actually need?
And there's so many systems that you can have now.
So many systems.
That can just serve you powerfully. I always say simple systems create success.
Yes.
So
exactly.
you don't need a lot of overheads that you think you might need. One of the reasons that my business was super successful in the early days, because I had no overheads. I was running my business, which was doing about until it was doing about 1.5 million. I was by myself in my bedroom. And then I had senior management, I had staff running the business from my home.
Wow, yeah.
And people were like, well, isn't that crazy? I said, no. Because no one ain't in the house 9 to 5 anyway.
Exactly.
You know, so I might as well use one of my living rooms as my office space. Why? So that I can use the money to build my wealth, and I can be lean. And I can actually have money, and I can have the time, rather than thinking, oh my goodness, how am I gonna make these overheads of all this office cost or whatever.
Exactly.
Headache.
Exactly. It's
especially in
not
2022. Oh.
Exactly. Yeah, because there's so many systems to use now that makes life easier. Even like HMOs, Coho. Coho is a great system for HMO people to be using, which is amazing because then everything's all in one platform. And so people don't need to be going on WhatsApps or whatever it is, all of them stuff. Everything's just all in one place. And this is why people need to understand that. Don't overthink it. See yourself as like the mastermind behind it. And how do you fix any type of loophole situation?
Yes.
And come up with the solution.
Yes, absolutely. And once you've come up with a solution, systemize it.
Exactly.
And once the system's systemized, then you're going to be successful.
Exactly. That's the blueprint to life.
There you go.
Yeah, literally.
There you go.
Financially, you have reached heights that many of us dream to achieve. But I want things broken down to the average male and female who's aspiring to do what you have achieved. Which 3 principles have you stuck by?
Invest in yourself. Thoroughly. Invest in property and build a business. It's a seed, right? You need knowledge. You need what I call KEN, K-E-N. Knowledge, environment, nutrients. You need the knowledge, and you get that through investing in yourself and investing in your education. Formal education will make you a living. informal education will make you a fortune, right? So first you've got to invest in yourself, and then you've got to have the right environment. So what's the right environment in this case? Well, you need to invest in property so that the property is continuing to grow in increasing value whilst that's able to start to pay for certain things in your lifestyle. And then you need to build a business, right? And a lot of people say, well, I'm just an employee, or, I'm just here. Well, you are the CEO of YOU. You've got to be the entrepreneurial person within the entrepreneurial space, which is the company that you work for. And not everyone needs to go out and build a 3 or a 10 or a 30 million pound business. But what you need to start to do is you need to start operating as not I'm just an employee, but I am a business. I am adding value to what? I'm adding value to this business. So how can I add value to this business that is outside of the context of what I've been listed to do on my job description? Because the moment you start to confine yourself to what's in your job description, then you've confined your paycheck. You've had somebody else control how much money you make. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's insane. Somebody else can't control the amount of books you read. Somebody else can't control the amount of courses you go on. Somebody else can't control the amount of knowledge that you have in your mind and the experience that you have at your fingertips. So why would you let someone else control your pay? And as I say, you don't need to go out and build your own business, whilst that's incredibly advantageous to do. If you don't want to do that, just be entrepreneurial within your company. Become a consultant for your company. Look at it from an external point of view. How can you go in and start to put different things together, put different systems that are creating solutions to some of the problems in your business, put those things into place, and then get paid handsomely for it. So,
in your history of life, on your social media, it says that you came from £30 a week to £3 million. Mm-hmm. What is the blueprint to you achieving that?
Multiplication. It's 5th grade maths. If you really start to break down business, all it is numbers and mathematics, right? So I started off with £30 a week because I was coaching 15 children every single week, and they were all paying me £2. And I know that sounds incredibly ridiculous now, because parents gonna be like, my child's football practice cost me a tenner and so on and so forth, right? But back then in 2004, when I started, it was £2 a head. So that was paying me £30 a week. And then what I decided to do, I got super good at what I did, and I started to look at, the first thing that you've got to do is you've got to look at different disciplines, different skills that you have, and then apply it to your industry, right? So that's what I was talking about earlier. Now, for me, what it was I wasn't just teaching sports, but I was also teaching them maths and English and all of that sort of stuff. So I was teaching them to be more confident, well-rounded students. So one of our marketing hacks was like, instead of going into schools and saying, hey, we're going to teach your children how to do sports or how to do music, we'll say, we'll teach your children how to get better exam results. And now that I'm speaking to the person who is actually paying us and what they want rather than what I want to teach them sport, but they want better exam results. So now I'm linking in the exam results to the sport. Right, and I'm going to show them how we help them create better exam results by helping the children to build their confidence, revise better, study better because they're happier, they're confident, blah, 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 blah. But when you speak through that lens, then you're more likely to get more people on board, and you're more likely to build a better business. So the first step is to make sure that you're combining different skills that you have and then embodying that into whatever it is that you're doing. The second step is to build a team so that you can multiply. You see, when I got booked and busy because I was getting good and the head teachers, every single person wanted me, what I didn't do was go, oh, well, I'm booked. This is what, all sorts of people do, the hairdresser, the barber, the DJ. Oh, I'm booked, I can't do it. That's bad business. And I don't mean that disrespectfully, but that's bad business because you're limiting yourself. So what I did was, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you can multiply yourself. So you want to train other people so that they can do the thing that you're doing and do it in the same way that you're doing it. So you've got to create your own blueprint. You've got to create your own masterpiece. In other words, you've got to document the process. So the first step is to make sure you're extremely good at what you do. There's no success without skill. And then the second step is to document the process. Once you've documented the process, you can multiply the process. And that's all we did. And then we ended up with 150 people educating up to 50,000 kids every week, and then
50,000.
Yeah, and that became a £3 million company.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, but it is all systems, right? Because once we had, like, I used to write down every lesson that we did. Once we wrote down all the lessons, we put that into a book. Every new person that came in, here's the book, follow page 1, and you'll be successful. That's it. Like, yes, there's more nuance to it, but essentially that's it. Now you've got a system. Run, go and play, go and enjoy your life. And that's simply just being able to multiply. So you don't have to do it all yourself. You can build people around you. And nowadays, you know, if I was to build that business again, I wouldn't have probably have had so many people. I would have had better systems to make it slicker, make it smoother. Now you have online learning. You have all of these resources at our fingertips, at our disposal that we can use to leverage. You see, a lot of people think about the limitations. They think about why they can't do something. They think about why something's too hard. They think about why it's not going to work. Well, if you think about the leverage, why can it work? Why can it be good? Why can it be advantageous? How can you make £1 million a month? How can you get to that level of leverage? Because it's possible. If somebody else can do it, you can do it.
Exactly.
You just ain't learned the knowledge yet. Yeah. But when I tell you to read the book, you're like, oh, I don't want to read the book.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I know it already. But if you knew it already, my friend, you would be rich. But you're not rich yet, so go and learn it. Just because you read it, don't mean you learned it.
Yeah, exactly.
Just because you can regurgitate the material, don't mean you learned it. And that's the problem with school. Because school teaches you subconsciously that if you read something, it means you've learned it. If you pass the exam, no.
Yeah.
Bring that stuff into the real world. Make that practical for me. Because until you can bring that skill set and make it practical and get results from that practical skill set, you ain't learned it yet.
Exactly. And this is random. Well, it comes into what you're saying, even about school. Like, I failed my GCSEs, and I remember the teachers made it feel like we're failures if we failed.
Yeah.
And I remember I got my GCSEs on my birthday, which was so bad. I felt like, oh my days, what have I done?
Most successful people do fail their GCSEs in their exam.
Is it? Do you
Yes, yeah. I really want to get the stat on that, but most people do. Most successful people do.
Yeah, because...
Or I would say many successful people do.
Okay, because it was a thing where I said to myself, like, no one really spoke about BTEC, and if they did, they'd be like, oh, BTEC is bad. But no, BTEC was really good for me because it made me be more creative in the coursework and things, and I'm good at making courses, like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Things like that I liked and enjoyed. And school needs to teach us what we actually need to know, like mortgage.
Hold on. But school ain't designed for that.
I know, it's designed for us to be bloody from 9 to 5. I know.
Yeah, so exactly. It would be a different world, you know, if we were learning those sorts of things about mortgages, about investments, about managing money.
That's what we need to know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So what did you use to help guide you in your success?
Distant mentors.
Okay.
So here's a process that everybody can do. Nobody got no excuses, right? And this is one of the things that I did in my 20s, which really helped me to grow my business and to thrive, which was to read a book every single month. And anyone can become successful by doing a simple 5-step process, right? Anything that you want to learn, ask yourself this question. What is the one thing that if I mastered it, I would make a lot more money? Just find one thing, right? Take that skill and do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5 books, 4 podcasts or audios on the subject, speak to 3 people that have got experience in that subject, go to 2 seminars and 1 conference. You follow that process and you do that 10 to 12 times a year, my friend. You don't even need to do it. You don't even need to do it every month. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm hyper on this sort of stuff, so I do it every month. But if you were to just do that once a year and you mastered 1 new skill a year, that means you've mastered 5 skills over 5 years. My friend, that's going to be masterfully advantageous, whether you're in a job, whether you're in a business, whether you're investing in property. It's going to be so advantageous to you. And what people don't realize is that there's so many nuances, there's so many subsections of whatever it is that you're doing. You're doing rent to rent. So every day you're speaking to people. So like, if somebody else is doing rent to rent, one of the things might be, I need to learn how to be good at public speaking. I need to learn how to be good at negotiating. Actually, I need to work on my sales process. Actually, now I'm getting big and I need to bring more people. I need to master the recruitment process. So you start to focus on all of those different things. That's going to just help you explode.
Exactly.
But most people won't do it.
You know what it is? I feel like in life, people know what they need to do, but they're just not ready for it yet. Or they say, oh, I need it to be the right time. There's never a right time. You just need to go for it and do it. Stop using excuses on why you haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Because even if they fail or whatever, you've learned.
Yes, exactly. You know, one of the biggest things for me was when I was in my 20s and stuff like that, was just constantly listening to positive audio, whether it be Brian Tracy, Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn. I was always listening to successful people in my car. Why? Because I wanted to be successful. I didn't want to be a rapper. I didn't want to be Drake, as cool as he is. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't want to be him. Yeah. So, you know, 80% of my car journeys were listening to people who were successful and people who were in some reality where I wanted to be.
Yeah, because even in the world that we're in today, there is so accessible. Is that a word? Accessible? Yeah. It's so accessible for us to get so much knowledge of people.
It's insane.
Yeah.
If people just like spent a few days, I don't know how long it would take them. If they just spent 2 days going through my Instagram page and taking notes, my friend, you're gonna be very successful.
You give so much. That's what I said. Like, you give so much free gems.
Yeah, but because it's free,
yeah,
a lot of people don't take it seriously.
Yeah.
So you skip over it, and because Instagram is such a fast-paced kind of thing, blah blah blah. One of the guys that I was mentoring, massive, his name's Ellis, massive success to him. Because before I started mentoring him, he said to me, Jazz, I've been through your page, I've been taking notes.
Good.
I said, you're an incredible guy.
Yeah.
And I didn't know at the time how much value that I was dropping into this guy. And I mentored him for 3 sessions over a 3-month period, there or thereabouts. He came to me last month and he said, Jazz, I've just negotiated a 15.5K increase in my income, in my salary. Thank you so much. I wouldn't have been able to do it without you. Environment.
Wow.
Environment, and he had the mindset to learn before he came to the session.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Magic.
Wow, that gave me goosebumps. That's so good.
Magic.
See, like, life is all about negotiating.
Yeah.
When you get a house, you need to negotiate things down if it needs to get down. There's so much things that people need to know, like negotiating is the way forward.
Yeah.
And people don't realize, like, even for example, people might say I'm bad at it, but this to make it nice and simple, if you want something from your mum or dad and you know you want something, you're negotiating with them, you're trying to persuade them to get it. When you do these simple things, you then see, wow, I actually do this on a day-to-day basis, but I didn't see it as that. Yeah.
Someone came to my house yesterday and they said someone sent me something. Someone sent this influencer, so he said someone sent me something and they said, oh, we'll pay you this amount of money.
Yeah.
We'll pay you 500 quid.
Yeah.
And he said, what would Jazz Rose say? Yeah. Jazz is good at negotiating.
Yeah.
What would he say?
Yeah.
Ended up on the other end with $3,000.
Yeah, do you know what? I know who that is.
Yeah, negotiation, because you see, people are constantly in negotiations, but you lose 100% of the negotiations that you don't know you're in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So people are afraid to invest in themselves. They're afraid to invest in their education because they're like, oh my goodness, £1,000. Oh my God, there's so much money. There's so much money. But then, you know, you don't realize that if you invest £1,000 in yourself, you've got to look at not how much money it is, but look at the return on investment.
Yeah.
So if you're able to utilize that one skill and utilize that one sentence structure or utilize that one shift in your belief and you generate a 15K pay rise, you generate a 30K increase in your income. I've had people come from my programs, triple their income within 12 months.
Wow.
Why? Because this stuff is multiplication. And once you do it once and you make 10 grand, you do it again and then you do it again and you do it. It's just a recurring process. It's just maths.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why people are so afraid of money. Don't talk about money. That's the worst. That's the worst thing that's one of the worst principles that you can learn as a young person. Don't talk about money.
I know.
Because if you don't know what nobody makes, then you ain't gonna make no money.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
You gotta be broke.
It's true, because it's like, I always thought to myself, why are people actually scared? But it goes back to the time when we were younger. We don't talk about money. Yeah. But then when I was on social media and I see Americans just talk about money, I thought to myself, I love that.
And they're rich, a lot of them.
Yeah, it's because the money that you hear, it pushes you to achieve it.
If you hear about someone making making 100 grand a week. Like, okay, I can do that. How that person do it? Let me go and get mentored by that person because they can show me something that I don't know. And once I know that thing and I know how to utilize that skill that I don't know yet, then I might not make 100 grand tomorrow in a week, but I might do 50. I might do 60.
Exactly.
And that's how it works.
Yeah. So the final question of today is, what advice would you give a newbie who wants to get started in anything, not just property, but anything?
First, you've got to master your skill sets. Too many people try and run straight ahead without actually understanding your process of mastery. Mastery is the ability to do something unconsciously, without the use of without having to think about it. So you've got to start to A, invest in yourself, B, environment, surround yourself with the right people, and then C, continue to read, continue to listen to audiobooks, continue to listen to podcasts like yours, continue to really start to invest in your mind, because you are the source of everything that you can create. And once you start to really invest in yourself and investing in your knowledge and investing in the people around you, there's no boundaries about what you can create.
Thank you so much, guys. That's it for today. This was so powerful. Oh my days, I love it. Guys, make sure you add Jazz Rose on Instagram if you want to learn your gems. Everything is there. Add him up. You can even buy his course, Mastery and
Money Mastery. Yeah.
And the property one, what one?
Yeah, get them started with Money Mastery.
Okay,
you need to master your money before you invest in property.
Okay, start with Money Mastery, guys. He's amazing. But guys, thank you so much for watching, and make sure you comment down below any questions you have. Thank you for watching. Bye.